Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Deb Holland and we're talking again today about my book, Make Your Destiny Your Reality. And you can find it online at Amazon or at debhollandlcsw.com. I also have a Facebook page with fresh new content every single day, so come on over and join me. I'd love to have you there. All right, so today we're talking about defensible space. This is my absolute favorite topic to teach because I think this is a really unique and important way of looking at our lives and the things that we need to take good care of ourselves. So, right now we're going to talk about the introduction to defensible space, which is, what is it? What is defensible space? Sometimes people hear this term and they think it's a military term. In this particular situation, it's not. It's a wildland firefighting term, which means that in order to defend a structure from a wildfire, a house or a barn or an outbuilding, whatever it may be, you have to have a zone around that structure that is big enough so that the fire that comes sweeps around it instead of right through it. And so defensible space, I grew up in Montana, and hey there everybody from Missoula and Helena, love y'all. When I grew up there, defensible space is a term that everyone knows and knows very well because every summer it is all over the news that the homes that get saved are the ones that had defensible space. So hearing this, growing up many times, I realized one day this is an awesome spiritual principle for our lives, that just like around a home, we need to have some space around ourselves, around our souls, around our minds and our hearts that we can defend from the storms of life that come sweeping through. And we want them to sweep around us. And they're still going to do a lot of damage, but they won't utterly destroy absolutely everything down to the ground. If you've ever seen pictures of homes, and sometimes when there are bad wildfires across the country, you will see pictures in the paper of homes that did not have defensible space and homes that did. And the ones that had the defensible space will have some damage, but that damage is at a minimum. And the ones that did not have defensible space are just ashes on the ground. It's a very sad thing. And there are actually scientific calculations that you need to use depending on where you live, what your structure is like, how close away are the trees, if you're in a forest, etc., etc. There are calculations to try and figure out what size zone you need to protect your house. So that is the term defensible space. And next week we're going to take a look at defining your zone in your life. And then the next couple weeks we're going to talk a little bit more about this topic and how it is going to help you in your life. Thanks for joining me today. I'll see you next time. Good girl. Yep, we're going to do another one. Good girl. Good girl. You can stand right here if you want. Good girl. That's it. Hey everybody, this is Deb Holland. Welcome back. We are still talking about my book, Make Your Destiny Your Reality, which is available on Amazon and also on my website, debhollandlcsw.com. You can link to my Facebook page from there where I have fresh new content every single day. Come on over and join me. I would love to have you. All right, so we're talking right now, we're in a 4-part series about defensible space. Last time we were together, we talked about what it is, the definition of it. Today we're going to talk about defining your zone because this is the most important thing you can do. We talked a little bit last time about there being scientific calculations for around your home, how much space that you need. So what you're looking at with a house, with a structure in the woods or in any other place that is in any kind of danger from a wildfire is you mostly are looking at brush and trees, because brush can ignite so easily, and trees, if the fires are burning hot enough or fast enough that embers can touch off spot fires, trees can crown, there's all kinds of crazy stuff that can happen. Anybody living in Montana or any of the other wildfire states, you absolutely know this, that you need to have that space around your home. All right, so how do we then apply this to our spiritual lives? Well, this is how we do it. There's a lot of talk these days about self-care, and it's a great topic because it's something that as a country we have gotten far away from. We have been so in pursuit of dreams and dollars, and those things are good. Those things are not bad. But we've lost ourselves along the way, and defensible space is one of the ways that we can bring those things back. So defining your zone in a spiritual sense, what is the parallel in your life about the brush or the trees? That's my junior executive assistant that you hear in the background. when you're talking about your life, what you want to do is you want to clear out things that are draining you or things that are depleting you. Now, I understand, just like everybody else out there, as adults, we have lots of obligations, we have lots of responsibilities. A couple of things that adults are in really short supply, all of us, are rest, sleep, play, and sometimes peace. So I get it. There's all kinds of things that we can't entirely stop having a part of our lives. You know, we need to work, most of us. Most of us have a family. Sometimes there's health challenges, whatever. So there are things that we can't help that are going to be difficult for us to deal with. But here's what we can do. We can recalibrate relationships so that they're healthier, so that they work for us, so that they don't completely deplete us or even in the worst instances, destroy us. We can also get rid of things that absolutely suck away our time that we would otherwise have to give to the things that we do want to honor our obligations to, like our family and our careers. So here's some easy things you can do. If you watch a ton of TV, that's an easy fix. That's comparable to the brush around your house. You can get rid of that, or you can reduce the time that you're watching it. If you're involved in 17 different committees and 85 different clubs and you're playing 12 sports, you probably could pare down that list a little bit without feeling like you're losing who you are as a person. Really, Defensible Space is about bringing things down to what actually counts, to what is the most important. So in the wildfire scenario, it's the house itself, it's the dwelling, it's the structure, it's the home, it's the place where the people or the animals inside have their safe space, right? So in your life, what is it that's your safe space? In your heart, what is your safe space? In your mind and your soul, what is it that you most need in this life? Who are you really? And then you carve away the things that don't matter as much. And if you can't get rid of things completely, you can certainly pare them down, you can cut them back. And that is a huge, huge help. Only you can decide what is the zone that you need. Only you can decide what matters to you, what your priorities are. I can't do that. I'm not a guru. No one else can do that. No therapist, no friend, no family member, no one can do that. Only you can decide what you believe your life is about and who you are as a person. And you need to protect that. And Defensible Space is a beautiful way of doing that. So we're going to talk a little bit more next time about exactly how do you carry this out. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Video 3, here we go. You need to come and see me? Come here. You can just come stand by me if you want. It's a good girl. Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Deb Holland talking about my book, Make Your Destiny Your Reality, which is available on Amazon.com or at debhollandlcsw.com. You can also link to my Facebook page from there. I have fresh new content every single day, and I would love to have you join me. All right, we're talking about defensible space. Today we're going to be talking specifically about how do you prune the brush? How do you take down the trees? How do you make the decisions that you need to make, and then how do you execute those decisions so that you can end up with defensible space that works for you? So we talked a little bit last time about activities and how to pare down your activities and choose those things that make you, you, and that give you a meaningful life. So today we're going to focus mostly on relationships because there are really two main sources of stress in our lives. Let's compare it to the brush and the trees. The activities are the brush. We've talked about that. Now the trees, the towering tall trees, which can bring us great beauty, or in a wildfire, they can be very, very dangerous. Those are the parallel to relationships. So we've talked about recalibrating relationships as a way to prune those things and to deal with the challenges that we have. So exactly how do we do that? What does that even mean? How do you recalibrate a relationship, especially if you're working on it by yourself? Here's what you do. You have to decide if the relationship is toxic for you. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It doesn't matter what anybody else says or believes or tells you that you should or should not do. When you're dealing with a toxic person or a relationship that has a toxic dynamic, because maybe you have a healthy person here and a healthy person here, and in and of themselves living their own lives, they do pretty well. They're not really toxic, maybe not necessarily the healthiest, but there isn't anything that's tremendously dysfunctional in either one of them. but you bring them together and some sort of dysfunction springs up between them. That's the other thing that can happen. So it might not necessarily be that the person themselves is toxic and needs to be pruned entirely out of your life. It might be that the dynamic between you is dysfunctional enough that if they aren't willing to work with you, you've got to do something about it yourself. So how do you do this? What you do is you have to figure out what it is that you're either getting from them or you want to get from them, what it is that you're giving to them, what it is they want to get from you. You have to ask yourself those few questions. What is the relationship really about? We have a tendency, especially for those of us that are healers or teachers or just simply very caring human beings, we have a tendency to attach to people who might not be the best for us, and we're not really sure why we're even in the relationship. So it's very important when you're talking about defensible space, you can't possibly create that if you don't understand what's there. So you've got to take a look at, what is this relationship all about? Am I simply attached to this person because they need help? Is this a person who helps me? And the best case scenario, the ideal, of course, for all of us, is that it's a mutually supportive, mutually beautiful, and beneficial relationship. Once you figure out what kind of relationship it is, it becomes much easier to start making decisions. If you have people in your life, they're not a part of your family, they're not a part of your inner circle, they really don't mean all that much to you, and they're just kind of a drain. They call you or they text you or they demand things from you, they disrupt your routine, and you've got people like that lurking around the edges of your life, that's an easy out. That's an easy decision to make. It doesn't mean that you have to be harsh. It doesn't mean that you have to make a big pronouncement. It just means that you have to be clear within yourself that this is a person that really you're best served and they're best served by a parting of the ways. It can be quiet and it can be classy. It doesn't have to be loud and ugly. Very few of us are good at goodbyes, so that's a skill that most of us can improve on. When you have someone in your life who is your family or who is one of your close friends and they have a dysfunction in and of themselves, it has nothing to do with you. It existed before you. If you dropped off the face of the planet right now, the dysfunction would exist after you. You have to find a way to deal with that. It doesn't mean that you have to let them walk all over you. It never means that you should let them abuse you. What it means is that you are going to have to find a way to minimize time or minimize impact, or both. So how do you do that specifically? This is getting into the nitty-gritty of the thing now. Just take a step away and see how that feels and see how that goes. And then take another step away until you find a distance, until you find a defensible space in which you can have your peace undisturbed, until you can be healthy in and of yourself. And that's okay to do. You don't have to completely abandon people or kick them out of your life if they're important to you. That is incredibly important. Again, only you can make the decision about who it is that you have in your life and how it is that you want to deal with them. So you may be the only healthy party in the relationship for a while. You may be the only healthy party in the relationship for the rest of your life. You're going to have to find a way to make your peace with that. That's what I mean by recalibrating. So instead of a relationship that is like this, that is so tightly locked that there's just dysfunction exploding everywhere, find a way to just separate just a little bit, and see if it gets a little bit healthier for you. You're not worried about the other person right now. You're thinking about you. Then a little bit more, then a little bit more, until you reach a comfortable distance. They're still there. You still love them. You don't have to stop loving anybody, but you can come back together and you can kind of flex, and that's normal and that's healthy in relationships. So if you're all stuck in a big tangled ball with somebody and you just do not know how to get out of it, just take a little step back, and that should really, really help you. So that will do it for today for relationships and recalibrating them. That's one of the best things you can do to give yourself defensible space, is to get those relationships under control. It's a tough thing. It can sometimes be a very painful thing, but in the end, this is your life, and you are worth whatever it takes for you to be okay and for you to fulfill the purpose in your life, whatever it is that God has called you to do, whatever it is that you think God may be calling you to do. My friend, that is worth it. You have value. You are worth protecting. You're going to have to be the one to do that for yourself, at least to start. God bless. I'll be praying for you to make those tough decisions in your life. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Pretty much what we were just talking about, huh? Good girl, Minnie. That's my good girl. Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Deb Holland talking about my book, Make Your Destiny Your Reality. It's available on Amazon.com and also on my website, debhollandlcsw.com, and you can link to my Facebook page from there. I have great new content every single day, and I would love to have you join me. All right, today is the last part of the Defensible Space 4-part series. So far, we've talked about what it is. We've talked about defining your zone. We've talked about pruning. And today we're going to talk about maintaining it. So, here's what you do. You've gone through all this hard work, right? You've recalibrated relationships. You've pared down your activities. You've thought through your priorities, your purpose, what kind of a person that you are. You've figured all this stuff out and you've worked really hard. And a lot of it, no question, either was or will be painful for you to do. It's really painful to disrupt relationships from a norm, even if they are toxic, even if they are dysfunctional. It's something that we're used to, and we're all just people here together on this planet, and it hurts. It hurts to lose somebody. It hurts to have roles and relationships change. So I really want to honor and acknowledge that this is not easy work to do. There are easy words to say, but it's very difficult work to do. So once you've done that, once you've been through the heartache, once you've realized some of the mistakes that you've made, and you've re-sculpted your life to be something that really suits you and serves you, and you've created that beautiful zone of space that only you can define, and you can breathe now, right? Just take that in for a second. You can breathe. The toxic people are either gone or contained. The activities are back under control. What really matters to you is where you're investing your time and your money and your effort. So things are good now, right? So how do you keep it that way? Well, just like outside in the woods, or if you're in any other kind of, say you're in the desert where there's lots of brush, any kind of situation where a wildfire can break out, you're going to have to put in some maintenance activities. So you wouldn't allow tall trees, once you've created that zone, you would not allow tall trees to grow back up in that space. You would not allow brush to grow up close around your house again, right? You've been through that. You've been there, done that. It hurt. You don't want to have to face it again. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to be vigilant. And I don't mean hyper-vigilant and crazy about it, but you're going to have to be vigilant that things don't encroach on that zone. That's the whole point, is that it is defensible for you, by you. I'm going to say that again. The whole point is that the zone is defensible for you, by you. You're going to have to be able to have what it takes. When people come creeping into your life and they want to take a big hunk of something that is on the other side of your defensible space, that's in your core, that's yours, and they want to reach in there and take that away from you, you're going to have to be able to put up a barrier and say no. You're going to have to get really good at saying no to people, or at walking away from situations that people are trying to pull you into. You're going to have to be willing to not give in to the temptation for a person that's really tugging at you. Maybe they're not trying to take something from you, but maybe they're just kind of tugging at you and your time, and again and again and again, they want you to save them, or they want you to help them. That the relationship for them is about you serving them in some way. There's no reciprocity. You need to be very careful, because just like little brushes and little trees, little seedlings and saplings can spring up all around your house without you really even paying attention, it's not a big enough problem to really notice yet, right? Stuff can grow up. People can come into our lives and they can begin to encroach on that zone without us even realizing that it's happening. That's what I mean about being vigilant. You're going to have to know where your boundary line is and not let anyone cross it ever again. It's going to have to be the same thing for the decisions that you make for yourself with your activities. We all love to help out. We love to be part of a community. We're all part of the human family. It's very natural for all of us to want to help. And those of us that are really good at things, that are really ambitious, people see our skill sets and they turn to us for help. You're going to have to say no to some of those things too, unless it is in alignment with your purpose and it doesn't violate that zone you've got around yourself. So if the church committees and the clubs for the kids after school and fundraisers and all these things are going on are saying, hey, you, we need you, you're going to have to learn how to say no to those folks too, at least some of them. So that's how you maintain the zone once you've got it built. And it's going to be a temptation to just say, well, this person, they're really not that bad. I'm not quite so sure about them yet. They're encroaching on the zone a little. Key phrase, a little, but I think it'll be okay. If you are justifying somebody encroaching on your zone, whether it's an activity they want you to do or a relationship they want you to have, that should be the giantest red flag that you need to put a stop to that right away. Otherwise, you're going to end up years later regretting the decisions that you've made and the people you've allowed to come into your life and the things that you've given your time to. And you're going to have to go through the pain all over again of creating defensible space. So, maintaining it is not necessarily going to be easy. But life isn't easy. But again, like we've been talking about through this whole series, my friend, you are worth protecting. So make sure whatever it is you've defined, whatever it is you've taken the time to prune and clear out the trees and make your own, make sure that your life continues to belong to you and don't give it away to anybody that you don't decide is worth that investment. So my best wishes and my prayers are with you as you work to create the zone and create that defensible space, and then as you work to maintain it. That's something you're going to need to do for the rest of your life. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be absolutely worth it, and you're going to be so much happier having lived out what truly meant something to you versus letting everybody take a piece of you, and then one day there's nothing left, and those folks are nowhere to be found. So, next time we're going to move on to different topics. Thank you so much for joining me. I really look forward to having you with me next week. Take care. All right, we're good.
We almost made it.